Have you guys ever felt stuck and frustrated in your career or in your life, asking yourself, why I'm not moving forward? Anyone? No. No, okay. I was there, and I would like to share with you my personal story to tell you how I managed to transform myself. When I graduated from the university, I got a really good job in the city of London, working in the London financial market. After a few years, I worked really hard, and after a few years, I have everything that usually defines a happy person. 6-figure salary, great bonuses, and a fantastic job. Life was good. But by my mid-30s, once the novelty of money and a new job wore off, it was replaced by monotony and lack of progress. I wasn't really motivated, I wasn't really progressing. It felt like I was stuck on this treadmill that I'm running really hard without moving forward an inch. I wasn't making a difference, therefore, I wasn't really happy. Deep down, however, I knew the reason behind it because I was a risk analyst, and although I really like risk, as you will see in my story, but analysis wasn't something that I was made for. Instead, what I was growing increasingly attracted to was so dreamy, risky, and unachievable that I wasn't willing to share it with anyone. People would say, this guy is completely nuts, he's crazy. I wanted to become an explorer and start making adventure television programs. And I was spending all my time dreaming about it, reading explorers' book and watching television. I was doing everything but to explore and making television. My dreams were my biggest demons. And they were so big that they really overwhelmed and frustrated me. But I was constantly thinking about these big television crews and grand expeditions, whereas my biggest outdoor experience was limited to 2 days camping in festival. How ridiculous. One day I was walking over London Bridge, really frustrated and angry with my life. And it was a grey November day. All of a sudden I stopped. And I made a decision to stop thinking about my big dreams and start thinking about doing something really small, focusing on small goals. I looked at the things that I could possibly do. I realized actually I could cycle. So on that very November, I opened my front door, took out my bicycle, got on it and started to cycle. Something very simple, which doesn't require a huge amount of brain cells, which perfectly suited me. So I started small, and little by little I started to increasing my mileage. A morning ride turned to a full day ride, and combine those with camping, I could make a weekend away in a country. I started feeling more comfortable with sleeping outdoors and wild camping, wild cooking, and I started learning new skills, endurance, resilience, and I started to feel more confident and started building some momentum that was ready to take on a big journey. Looked at the different geographical locations, and this place looked like an ideal place to go. Well, the Sahara Desert is as big as the United States of America, and it covers most of North Africa. It's one of the harshest climates for human survival. So here I am, after 6 months of training in the Sahara Desert, and I was living the dream, and my dream was absolutely horrible. I was keep falling off my bicycle. I was bruised and battered and tired and hungry and sunburned. It was hot. And life at 40 degrees is punishing, especially when you're trying to do such demanding physical activities. I was constantly had to protect myself against sun because it was really strong. And I couldn't fight the nature, and adaptation was the key. As far as the eye could see was bare desert. And in order to avoid the sun. I was waking up early morning at 4 o'clock. I was cycling till 10 a.m. Wherever I was, I made sure I'm under the shade. Again, waking up at 3 o'clock and cycling through the night. However, with a bit of a perseverance, finally, I managed to get to the end of my journey. And I managed to smash the Guinness World Record for cycling across the Sahara Desert. It was amazing. I felt so good. I was so uplifted. It was so uplifting. And I got back to my normal day-to-day corporate life. I was a complete different person. I started taking more responsibility. I started taking more ownership of my work. I started putting myself out for a new project. I wasn't the same person. I was taking on the project that no one wanted to touch, and I was executing them one after another. After a while, I started developing this reputation as a corporate entrepreneur. I was really happy that I managed to transform myself from an unmotivated employee, change myself to a person with this reputation of undertaking and executing major projects. I felt so happy. I felt my comfort zone has expanded. I made me believe that actually I was not made for analysis, but actually I was made for undertaking. But despite all this success, I felt part of me was left in the Sahara Desert. And for the first time I tasted a success, I was hungry to explore more. All of a sudden, making a career in adventure travel didn't seem such an impossible task. So this time I thought, okay, I'm ready to take on a bigger journey and launch my adventure career. I was really ready for it. I looked at different plans and I thought, I need to go big. And I decided to cycle the length of the planet from north to south and put it on the map as a world record. It's amazing, the stuff that you come up with after a few pints in a pub with your friends. So it took me 2 years in the making. And during these 2 years, a friend of mine, Stephen, decided to join me, and we decided to do this together. So finally, after 2 years, I was ready to take on a big journey. So the last thing I did, I resigned my job and started to call myself an adventurer. Well, it's a job title that my mom still thinks, oh, that's another word for unemployed. Anyhow, fast forward, here is us, August 2013 in Nordkapp, Norway. We were ready, adrenaline was pumping. It's the northernmost point in Europe. And we started hitting big mileage. 200 miles, 200 kilometers, 300 kilometers, fresh and excited, got through Norway and Finland and entered Russia. Russia was a big country. It was massive. It felt like we were pedaling forever without getting anywhere. It was so big. But in the grand scheme of things, things were going quite well. We were making a progress. Until as we get closer to the troubled region of Dagestan bordering Chechnya, continuous warning from the police and people forced us to rethink our plan. Everyone was telling us it's crazy out there. Do not go to Dagestan. You will not come out alive. It was a dangerous situation. So we sat in front of each other in a small guest house in the middle of Russia and started discussing what are we going to do. We were in silence and we didn't know what to say. But we knew that one of us has to make a decision. Stephen made it easy for me and he said, mate, I'm out of here. I'm not going to come with you to Dagestan. I'm not going to be stupid about it. And it was my time to make the tough decision. By then, I was quite used to people keep telling me, this is too scary, this is too dangerous, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I started to learn how to make my own mind up about everything. And I thought, I would like to go to Dagestan. You know, sometimes you have to ignore the conventional wisdom and do what your gut's telling you. And that time, my guts were telling me, go to Dagestan, everything's going to be fine. So I decided to go, but I needed to change my strategy. I decided to start riding through the night and hide during the day. So the first couple of days, entering Dagestan was really scary. My feet were shaking on the pedals, and I thought any minute I can be a victim for violence. But as time went by, I started becoming more and more comfortable with the situation. Wherever I went, people welcomed me with open arms, and they were so kind to me. For example, I went to this cafe. These ladies, they gave me food and they refused payment. They even gave me doggy bag to carry with me. I was even offered to marry a local woman, but unfortunately I had to carry on. So I left Dagestan, I whizzed through it. I came out of Dagestan, I was really happy and proud of my discovery that I actually managed to challenge the common perception, but I couldn't carry on. I felt like my heart was left in Dagestan with the woman that I met over there in Dagestan. So I couldn't stop thinking about her. So I turned back. I cycled as hard as I could. I got to the village where I saw her first time. I went directly to the cafe. She saw me and she couldn't believe what she was seeing. And I got so emotional, so I went down to my knees and I proposed to her. And she burst into tears and she said yes. Now, after a couple of years, we have 2 beautiful kids together. That was a joke. That did not happen. We came out of Dagestan, joined by Stephen, whizzed through the Middle East and got to Africa. In Africa, things got more difficult. The tarmac road turned to gravel. Progression was more and more difficult. It was really energy consuming, and it was difficult to find food and water, so we started losing weight. I was 85 kilos in North Cap. By the time I was near the equator, I was 70 kilos, 15 kilos gone. And things got even more difficult when we entered Ethiopia. We caught stomach bug, and that led to severe runs, and we constantly had to jump behind the bushes. Well, good job there were bushes there. Can you imagine that's what happened in the Sahara Desert? So, but privacy in Ethiopia was something very difficult to come by, because you couldn't find any private moment, not even behind the bushes. We get to a quiet patch, we look around, as far as the eye could see was no one around, and we jump behind the bushes. All of a sudden, the entire village appeared out of nowhere and staring at you like this, with your pants down. It was so uncomfortable. Anyhow, we decided to carry on. We got ourselves to Kenya. In Kenya, things even got more difficult because my food poisoning got to the level that it was so painful to carry on. My stomach started to swell and I started to look pregnant. Finally, crippling pain forced me off my bicycle. I couldn't carry on, so I had to get myself to the local clinic, where it didn't take long for the doctor to add to my food poisoning that I'm also burning up with malaria. For 4 days, I was in that clinic. It was so basic that they were cleaning my wound with a toilet paper. Keep on going was an only thing that I was thinking about. And stopping there was the worst feeling. Day 4, I received my last injection at 7 o'clock in the morning. By 9 o'clock, I was on my bike pressing south. Didn't take long that we entered a new desert. And progression was really difficult. Again, 40 degrees temperature. My mind wanted to carry on, but my body couldn't keep up. I had nothing left in me. I was skin and bones. At some point, we ran out of water. And for 2 hours, we were pedaling without water, without a sip. My vision went blurred and I fell off my bicycle in the middle of a desert. I wish I was that kind of explorer, could stand in front of you and say, I raced to the occasion and picked myself up and carried on. But not this time. I was breaking down. I had nothing left in me. It was a bad day in the office. I was talking to myself that in the last 70 days, I dealt with whatever barriers that came in front of me. But there's only so much a man can take. I was breaking down. And I was ready to give up. And you know what? In my profession, it's quite tricky. You cannot call sick. You're in the middle of nowhere, and the only way to get yourself out of that situation is to move forward. So I decided to get on my bicycle and get myself to the next town. And from there, catch a lift to Nairobi, and from there, fly back home. As I got myself on my bicycle, this was what happened. I was passing through the Samburu tribe's territory. And these warriors saw me cycling in through the lands. They got so excited and inspired, they decided to run alongside me. They'd never seen a cyclist passing through their territory. And for a second, I thought, this is absolutely amazing. This is what I always dreamed about it. And I felt like I gave them joy. They believed in me. Just by running alongside me, they just gave me recognition and validation on what I was doing really matters. I thought to myself, this is so joyful. Their joy was really contagious. And I thought, this is difficult, but it might worth persevering. But it's amazing that how much a little recognition from others can push you forward in difficult times. However, despite their joy, the contagious joy, I couldn't stop thinking that, well, Cape Town was still 3,500 miles away, and I really didn't have anything in me to hit that distance. But at the same time, it occurred to me that Cape Town might be 3,500 miles away, and I cannot cycle that, but I'm pretty sure I can cycle 10 miles. And I decided to cycle for 10 miles, just focus on that 10 miles, and make sure I get there. And once I got there, I'm thinking whether to abandon my journey or whether to continue. So I got through that 10 miles. Once I got there, I thought, ooh, that wasn't too bad. Maybe I can cycle another 10 miles and make up my mind there. So I got to the next village and repeat the same thing. And I started to play this mind game over and over again. I started feeling again more confident, and I started feeling that I'm actually able to hit those long distances again. And all of a sudden, after repeating this process over and over again, Table Mountain appeared at a distance. That was the fascinating moment. I was so happy. I never felt so happy in my life. I couldn't believe I actually managed to get there, the end of Africa, the end of my expedition, despite given what I went through. And as I was getting closer to the finish line, the more I started thinking about the biggest lesson this very hard, very long expedition might be teaching me is that widely used cliche, dream big, is great, but it's not enough to get you to the destination. It's only enough to ignite a passion. It's all those important small steps that each day gets you one step closer to the destination. And I held true to that vision, and I showed up and I turned those pedals every day. And then I thought, also, if it wasn't because of those Samburu warriors, I wouldn't be standing here and talking to you today. If it wasn't because of their encouragement, I wouldn't be able to continue my journey. And I realized actually at the end of the day, you can't do it alone, on your own. So fast forward to a year later, life changed. I got a book deal. I finished producing my documentary, 4-episode TV series, which was sold all over the world. And I started a production company and started to travel to really remote corners of this planet and started meeting incredible people and started making documentaries about them. But it's not all about what I achieved. It's all about what I learned achieving those. Struggling through and facing those unexpected obstacles unleashed my creativity and trained my resilience and problem-solving muscles. Those muscles not only helped me in my adventure career to progress, but also enabled me to deliver and execute major projects in the corporate world. And I'm not standing here to say you have to climb mountains or cross deserts or wrestle a caiman. In fact, I would like to discourage you to go anywhere near a caiman because it's bloody dangerous. I'm here to say, whatever you do, unless you own it, you will not be happy. Dream big, take small steps, and add venture to your life. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Reza. Quite a story. I mean, the first thing I was wondering is like, okay, why do you do those extreme bike trips? It seems like pure torture. I mean, through the Sahara and then from Cap to Cape. I mean, why? Why do you do all this?
Well, I had nothing better to do. It's part of the life of an adventurer. So this is the life that I was sort of envisaged for myself. And when you put yourself through that sort of hardship, and when you travel on a bike to sort of that level of distance, you don't see the things that normal people get to see. But you get to see different side of the society. You get to see the different alternative part of the society. You know, if I'd never caught malaria, I could never experience those sort of clinical condition in the middle of Kenya, or I couldn't experience the kindness of a stranger in the middle of Tanzania or other places. Dagestan as well, yeah. It's a place that you don't go as a tourist. Doesn't make sense, but you go if you have to pass through it.
Mm. Okay, and so at the beginning, I felt like it's a bit unclear. So you were having your corporate job as a banker every day, the same thing, and at some point in time, someday, you decided to change it all. You said you were going on that bridge, commuting like all the commuters, and then at some point you gripped the railway and stuck to it and said like, no, I have to change something. And what triggered that? Is there any special thing that happened that you decided to change something that, I mean, for many days you hadn't changed, and it was on that day? I mean, how come there you took the decision that you have to change your life and you start doing what you did, like for example, going on bike tours at the weekends and so on?
I had enough, not because I don't have anything against working in finance. It's absolutely fine. I really enjoyed it for a time that I was enjoying it. But the monotony that really got to me, then I felt really, really stuck. And I could tolerate it to a certain level, but one day I thought, I can never get the time back. Okay. The time that I'm losing running on this treadmill. Whether I want to continue following the same path or choosing another path. Running on a treadmill is not a way forward. So you got to change things.
Okay.
So I think it was a culmination of so many different events, and walking on that bridge that day, I made that decision.
Okay.
Enough was enough.
Okay. So more like an unconscious accumulation of things, and then without
Moment
knowing
of realization.
why, without an external trigger, it was really like it just happened.
It was internal. I mean, perhaps it was the first time actually I started listening to my inner compass.
Thank you for that. That's we didn't rehearse that, huh? Okay. And so you, I know you didn't mention in your talk that you were afraid before starting the journey that you would kind of bail out last minute and not do it, because how could you trust yourself to undertake such a great, a difficult trip through the Sahara without having experience? And can you tell the people, the things that you did to kind of cheat yourself, that you cannot bail out last minute?
Yeah, I did some ridiculous things. Basically, I was halfway through my training, and I just chose that I wanted to go to the Sahara Desert. And I went and talked to everyone about it. I told every single possible person that I met that I want to do this. And then, to make it more even difficult, I went and teamed up with a charity to raise funds for them. That's something that you cannot pull out last minute. And then the last thing I did, foolishly, I went and applied for the official Guinness World Record. Say, well, I would like to do this as a Guinness World Record. And also I went to talk to everyone about it as well, that I'm breaking the world record, and everyone's saying, haha, you chubby corporate guy, want to go and do the world record, forget about it.
Yeah. Chubby Reza transformed to
Chewbacca.
Chewbacca, the adventurer. Okay. So basically, you used social commitment and social shaming, or the fear of shaming, to force you to stick to it. It's a great thing also when you try to kind of force yourself to go to the gym and keep up your wishes, and also, for exercises and so on, you kind of force yourself to do it. Okay.
Fake it till you make it, I wasn't faking it, obviously. I just to pigeonhole myself that I had to do it. So.
Okay, and so then you went back to your life, and then you said, I've tasted the flavor of exploration, and I want to do something even bigger. And then you did this even more crazy trip. I decided to do this enormous trip, half the globe. That's like crazy. And you said it's not just taking the jump, but also being able to carry on. And there, the secret is taking small steps. You said basically, and not thinking about the big goal in the distance, but really just 10 more miles, 10 more miles, 10 more miles. No? But still, it takes incredible, endurance and resilience to do this. And where did you find that? Where did you find this strength? Is it your upbringing? Is it social support? Is it narrowing down, just tunnel focus? How were you able to be so resilient? During how long was the whole trip?
102 days.
102 days. With malaria and stomach bug and everything. What's the secret of resilience?
Well, part of it is genetic, because I have a mother that's she's very tenacious. But other than that, I think resilience is a muscles that we train. Is not something that is it's something that you train every single day. And the moment that you stop training it, you lose strength, like anything. Like learning a language, working on your body or your mind, and being tenacious is also part of it. You might have a great genes, but if you don't work on it, you lose it. And it was something that I started building from the first day that I made a decision. So I started small, and the tenacity was built from the first day that I went out in the middle of November, and I thought, oh, this is too cold, I'm going back home and watch some BBC and have my glass of wine, National Geographic, have a glass of wine, or have my morning coffee in a coffee shop with my friends, or having a Sunday roast. But it was very difficult to on Saturday take your bike out while everyone's out there having a comfortable, nice time. Okay. You're pushing your bike out there in the cold. Okay.
So basically, by starting small, you kind of make positive experiences about yourself. That you have it in you to do those things, and then you try something more and a bit bigger, and then it grows slowly. That's what you're saying, kind of.
I think I alluded to that at the end. That dream big. Once you find your inner compass, you can dream about what you want to achieve. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you ask everyone here, and the people actually thought about what they want to do and what they want to achieve, it's not about that. It's about dreaming big is great. Once you find it, dream about it, but you have to take small steps to get there. From the first day, no one is expert. Mm-hmm. Expertise is something that you develop. Just keep at it.
Mm-hmm. And the final thing is, I think it's like a story of one single person, like a hero who makes it, right? I mean, it's like it's your strength and your creativity and your resilience. But at the lowest point of your journey, you found strength in the encouragement of others, and I think that's. It's a nice lesson I felt always from the story, that actually without the recognition and validation of others, it's really hard to get through the lowest point in your journey. I mean, when there was nothing left in you, there were those
Samburu
people, and I think like that's kind of the challenge for all of us to kind of have and find our Samburu tribe. It's often the family, but then the extended family maybe, and an extended tribe, and maybe also today it's kind of the start of the creation of a new tribe, who knows? And I think that's for me, that sticks out. That made the difference, right? At the end.
I mean, I'm not a person that's really comfortable. I talk about myself all the time, and my wife knows better than that. But it's a personal story. I really don't know an alternative way to tell that story. But the reason actually I like to share that story is just because I think is a relatable lesson to everyone. It's something that whoever got stuck in their lives, they can come out of it, and that was the way I did it. And I think you might find other ways, but this was the way that I did it. That other people might find it relatable, mm-hmm. and maybe they help them to get out of where they're stuck. That's the reason I'm sharing it.
It's a great story. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you.